Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Thriving Adoptees podcast. So today I'm doing another single-hander. You just got me today for the next 10 minutes or so. Will I go to 10 minutes? I'm not sure. I've written down a few notes. And let's dive into this. Are you your worst critic? Are you your worst critic? We hear these things all the time, don't we? Are you your worst critic? Are you getting in your own way? I'm getting in my own way. What else do we hear? What else do we hear? Yeah, the biggest one I hear is, are you your worst critic? And I'm going to give you a very succinct, direct, and brief answer to that question. No. You are not your worst critic. Now, that might sound a little bit weird, and I guess it is, but you are not, right? You are not your worst critic, because you are not the voice in your head. Now, the inner critic, what's called the inner critic, is the voice in our heads. And we've all got one. But it has our voice, but it sounds like us, but it isn't us. How do I know that? Well, I know that because I've spent the last 14 years seeing that for myself. That's how I know it. That's how I know it in my bones, not like as a theoretical idea that you hear from some slightly strange bloke on a podcast, but deep in my bones. So how can you see that? How can you see that for yourselves? Because there's no such thing as a second-hand insight. We have to see things for ourselves. That we have to see things for ourselves. We have to have a sight from within, insight. It has to come from within us. So what I say has no bearing whatsoever on a change in your life, unless you hear something different. So me saying something to you, us saying something to, so if you're a parent, us saying something to our kids has no relevance whatsoever unless they hear it. So it's not what I say, it's what you hear. It's not what I point at, it's what you see for yourself and inside. So are you your worst critic? No. You are not the voice in your head. How can you see that for yourself? Well, hopefully by listening to what I'm talking about, you might start to hear it for yourself. I want to ask you a question. Are you the voice in your head, or the one that hears it? Are you the voice in your head, or the one that hears it? You're the one that you can say, well, I'm the one that speaks it and the one that hears it. Getting a bit philosophical here. Let me go again. You were not born with that voice in your head. You had no words. You had no words. You had no words. You were not. You had no what psychologists call cognitive ability in terms of words. This stuff, who you essentially are, the truth of who you are, it is pre-verbal. It's not what you couldn't say anything. You didn't have any. You didn't have that inner critic when you were born, because you had no words with which to criticize yourself. So the voice in our head isn't who we are. What is it then? That's the question. What is it? Well, it's a set of beliefs that have been programmed into you as you've grown up. So for me, it was the beliefs that were programmed into my head was that how maybe it's adoption, maybe it's just friends, but I was concerned that friends would leave me. I almost lost my my best friend was going to a different school when I was about 8, and so I wanted to go to that school too, because I was afraid of losing it. I felt that I wasn't good enough at certain things at school, so practical things and athletic things. I remember being kind of left out of the football team. So, and then I remember a friend of mine called Mike Brown finishing my woodwork, the stool that I was making in woodwork when I was 12. And since then, I didn't have a natural skill for working with my hands, woodwork. Didn't have the patience to stick with it, or the passion. It didn't set my soul on fire. Making stuff in some people it does, but the whole the whole time was the whole thing was about not being good enough, not having enough girlfriends, not having pretty enough girlfriends, not having failing driving tests, not being good enough at work. And the whole thing, all the voice in my head said was I wasn't good enough. And so the voice in our heads is a reflection of the beliefs in our bones, our things that we're sure about ourselves, our self-limiting beliefs. What are they made of? Well, they're made of thoughts that have got congealed together, stuck. They've become sticky. Our mindset has become stuck like concrete. There's fast setting concrete and there's slow setting concrete. The beliefs in our head, the beliefs on who we are, the voice in our head is slow setting concrete. So mine's been setting for the last 55 years, right? What are those beliefs made of? They're made of thought. And as when we see through that thought to the truth of who we are, the truth sets us free. I've heard that a million times. I didn't realize that actually came from the Bible. I heard something this morning. Prompted this podcast. The truth sets us free. That comes from the Bible. I'm not a religious guy, but I do believe in something bigger than us, bigger than the little ego, the small self, and the ego really is just a just. It's intensely powerful. It's our sense of being separate. It's our sense of being separate, sense of being different. See, as adoptees, we have this sense that we are separate. That's what if you're an adoptive parent, that's what your child feels. He feels she feels different, other than, separate to. Right? Very wise adoptee guy called Sydney Banks. He had a huge breakthrough on this insecurity thing. When somebody told him, "You're not insecure, Sid, you just think you are. You're not insecure, Sid, you just think you are." And that is the truth for all of us. We're not insecure, we just think we are. Insecurity is a human thing. It's not an adoptee thing, and it's not an adoptive parent thing either. It's a human thing. We all feel insecure. We all feel insecure in that ego place, right? And I was doing a podcast yesterday and came up with an analogy of the a wobbly tooth. So before we have when our milk teeth, our baby teeth are ready to go to be replaced by our adult teeth, they wobble, don't they? They get wobbly. They are insecure, and then they go, and we grow these strong teeth in their place. So the insecurity is a prelude, a forerunner of security. The insecurity, the wobbliness of the little tooth, is replaced by the thickness and of the older tooth. And that's what I'm talking about here. When we get this stuff deep in our bones, we make the leap between insecurity and security. Because, as I say, insecurity is a human thing. It's an ego thing. And I came up with this idea last week that insecurity is like it's like ice cream, right? So we've got vanilla ice cream, which is the most common ice cream, right? And as adults, we have insecurity about money, we have money worries. Then there's chocolate ice cream, which is constant. It's still very, very popular, perhaps not quite as popular as vanilla. And that's insecurity about how we look. Perhaps another slightly less popular, less prevalent one is strawberry flavor insecurity. That's the insecurity of parents, all parents, right? I've done work with adoptive parents, I've worked with bio parents, and none of them think that they're doing all they could. All of them have a desire to be a better parent, or all of them question themselves. They have that inner critic. They're wondering, am I a good parent? Am I a good mom? Am I a good mom? Am I a good dad? Right? So that's strawberry flavor insecurity. And then you've got a strawberry flavor, parent flavor that has some mixed in raisins, right? So strawberry and raisins is adoptive parent insecurity. So it's very similar to most parents, and yet it's got a slightly different flavor to it because adopted kids are different. And then as adoptees, we haven't got strawberry and raisin, we've got rum and raisin insecurity, and that's because it depends on people whose statistics you be. 5% or 10% of kids are adopted, so it's not as common, right? Because it's more common. It's far more common to be raised by your biological parents than it is to be raised by adoptive parents. So we're a little bit exotic. Our insecurity is a little bit exotic. It's rum and raisin, not vanilla, because we're not we're not that common. But the thing about all these different flavors, it's all the same thing. It's all insecurity, and it's all because we believe the voice in our head. We think that we are our worst critic, and we're not. You are not your worst critic. The worst critic is the voice in your head. The voice in your head is the voice in my head. The voice in our heads is nothing other than the set of beliefs that we've picked up from the world around us. Hope that helps. As always, please get in touch, Simon at thriving.adoptees.com. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.